Hello, I'm Nancy Sutherland. As you understand your client base more, you will assess that there are many types of buyers. In order that you engage these individuals correctly, means you should dutifully study, listen, and have the willingness to behave impeccably with a moral code of excellence. I say to you at this moment, you have a client base now, as you have many potential buyers of you in your realm and current capacity. Apply what you're learning here. Be intentional. Practice. Increase your personal value proposition offering for the benefit of all your personal consumers, meaning buyers of you. Succinctly, since the selling engagement requires much conversation, you must become practiced. My suggestion is to employ learning the art of public speaking. Further, in your comings and goings, be extra attentive to your personal and business engagements, all the while seeking to improve your public speaking ability. You will be highly pleased with the exponential gains that you will achieve. Thus, if we are going to be an effective salesperson, we must become very adept at conversation. I do know that certain personality types find conversation easier than others, such as the expressive. Yet in our current business marketplace, if we maintain a rigidness and refusal to overcome our innate bents, we will suffer being replaced by somebody that will. Noteworthy conversational ease can give you marketplace leverage. Thus, I emphasize the vast need for flexibility, adaptability, maneuverability versus rigidity and refusal as you work daily. The more that you employ these characteristics and make them your very fiber of your being, the more you will enhance your personal value proposition in your employer's eyes. Please know that all positions of employment are enhanced with the adeptness of conversation. However, the selling engagement truly demands keen conversational ability. I do interject at this moment that this skill set can be learned. I have become much more of an expressive as the years have passed, both in oral communication and in the written. Thus, take heart and do not close your ears with this needful selling content study. If you say no totally to a selling career, understand unequivocally the application of this course content in all relational engagements, thereby ensuring all employments and personal relationships are added value. We can exercise intentionality and practice with our presentations of ourselves to others, thereby increasing our conversational skill sets. As we understand the selling engagement process further, we must understand that we must undertake the stretch goal. Exactly what do I mean? The Business Dictionary defines a stretch goal as that which cannot be achieved by incremental or small improvements, but requires extending oneself to the limit to be actualized. When I first began selling in my pharmaceutical sales territory, it was as if I had been immersed in the fire. I will be honest, I was in the fire. The entire process, from learning the products through extensive corporate product knowledge training, home study days, taking exams, role-playing selling engagements, filming of my selling engagements with the varied psychological types of buyers, being coached with what I did wrong or right in the sales call role play, learning the client base, etc. was a stretch goal. Each job responsibility that I listed was a stretch goal. In fact, each product was the same as a college course. My competency had to be an A. That is studied product knowledge. Now factor in the synthesis and application of the product knowledge into the conversation for the sales call to the multitude of different buyers. That was the fire. This was a stretch goal. To be able to adaptively sell the buyers employs a stretch goal by the very nature of the vastness of the position and its requirements and the products presented. A sales position is truly deemed professional work. This is business in its heat and in its glory. Conversational ease must be an attribute of a salesperson that translates one's selling value, feature, benefit of the product to the buyer. This takes much practice. This can be done. You can do this with the intentional study and listening discussed. In fact, selling conversation becomes more conversational the more you know your product and the more you know your customer. This is the culmination of the stretch goal. You are stronger in character, in ability, and have a greater marketability, sellability. With this level of self-development, self-mastery, and self-discipline that will be assessed by all future business and personal interests of you. I want you to understand that this level of investment in you is not in vain. Thus, I have discussed this work in you that must be done to adaptively sell to your audience. It would be paraprofessional to sit before a client and say the same words only to repeat the same words to the next client. Imagine that I meet you and have conversation. Then I meet the next person and have the same conversation. That would be ludicrous and not real in happening. Thus, a canned sales call is likewise. Further, adaptive selling performed with talking excellence is immeasurably important. As I have said before, personal selling is the most expensive form of communicating with customers, yet firms use it anyway. Students, why do firms, businesses use this expensive communication vehicle? The reason is that personal selling is more effective over other communication vehicles. We will never replace face-to-face engagements, despite all the cultural push of technology and its social media platforms or internet enabling client connections. Likewise, note the different types of sales presentations and note the flexibility increases as you move from a standard memorized presentation through an outline presentation and then to a customized presentation. Since we are dealing with individuals, what do you think that your potential buyer would desire most? He or she will desire what is a tailored solution designed specifically to fulfill or fit their needs because their concerned needs or the needs that they sit in power to fulfill for another are individual and not universal as one-size-fits-all mentality. Therefore, utilizing adaptive selling, i.e., personal selling, is unique in that salespeople can customize a presentation for each customer and make adjustments quickly. If adjustments are to be made quickly and can be made quickly, we can pointedly support what I've said. If a salesperson is selling with excellence, he or she will employ tremendous listening skills and study for that potential buyer. Further, note the inverse of the statement. You cannot make an adjustment quickly if you do not know your product well. This would not prosper you, as you would sell very little with this posture of selling behavior. Likewise, if you do not listen well, you cannot make an adjustment quickly, which results in the fail of the sale versus the gain. Notice the trajectory of each point that I make. Each point of need of the salesperson affects the other key needs utilization directly. A direct relationship means a direct increase is resulted with the direct input. Thus, the learned product knowledge is directly related to increasing sales. Further, acute listening to the buyer's needs is directly related to increasing sales. So how do we practically do what I'm saying? Know first that the standard memorized presentation through an outline presentation and then to a customized presentation each have their value. The standard memorized presentation can be used as a tool in training, furthering the practice of the selling conversation discussing your product. Further, practice could employ an outline presentation, thereby gaining more intellectual product synthesis and application to particular buyer personalities. Note that your skills of mastery are growing as we change presentation types. In other words, you are deepening the selling conversation of product knowledge, as well as communicating this to certain buyer personalities and/or target consumer segments. Yet, ultimately, you must employ day in and day out a customized presentation to each buyer. This takes fierce intentionality, including consistent study and research of products assigned and consistent study and research of buyers and firm or businesses that they represent, including acute listening skills, thereby giving you the leverage needed to be able to adapt to the buyer's business need. This is adaptive selling. This is selling excellence. I'm saying that this is truly doable. Adaptive selling must be done day in and day out, as this is the only way for consistent business sustainability. We are to be constant learners, not viewing our lives learning segmented only as a time in a degree program. Therefore, the doability that I note is an ethical decision and/or moral code of making the increasing of one's personal value a must. I ask you to examine my published work, Business Excellence Inside LinkedIn. This work can be extrapolated into all relational engagements, not just professional ones. If one fulfills the need of a buyer with a tailored solution, this will always necessitate the consistent personal investment of study and research of the products, the buyers, and the firm or business. This is selling excellence, i.e., adaptive selling. This vast growth of knowledge of our globe, with the continued plethora of product introductions resulting from exponential global consumerism, requires what I'm discussing in this lecture content. I am Nancy Sutherland. I am honored to deliver you this business content.